Deanna here, and thanks so much for being here. So today's video is going to be a book review. Now I have started the Percy Jackson series. I've already read The Lightning Thief and The Sea of Monsters, and I've reviewed those, so I will leave the links above and go ahead and check those out if you haven't seen those yet. Also, if you have not read some of the other books, then you may want to pause this video, go read some of the first ones, and come back because it might have some spoilers from some of the first two books in the series. So this is the third book now in the series, so this is just a big warning before we get into it. And with that out of the way, the book that I'm reviewing today is The Titan's Curse of the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series. This is the third book in the series, and I'm going to go ahead and read out a little bit of a summary of what this book is about. In this third installment of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Percy, Annabeth, and newly returned Alia must hurry to help Grover. He has found two powerful half-bloods with unknown parents and a very mysterious past. While trying to recruit them to Half-Blood Camp, things really get strange when Artemis and her immortal hunters show up hunting a powerful monster that might just bring about the destruction of the Olympian gods. And unbeknownst to all of them, Titan Lord Kronos is setting up his most devious trap that the heroes may walk right into. So this was just another absolutely delightful book in the Percy Jackson series. Oh, this one was very action-packed, very exciting, and just so much going on. And it was really fun reading this one because I've gotten to kind of know Rick's writing a bit now, having now read this is the third in the series. So now I kind of see some of the little breadcrumbs that he's sprinkling along and how he's kind of guiding us. And so there were certain parts, as I very much annotated this one, and there were certain parts where I was putting points going, oh yeah, that's going to be something, or oh yeah, that's something that he is giving us a little taste of so that it will come about and something will happen. Like, I can very much see that that's happening, but even knowing that, even knowing a bit of the format of Rick's writing and how certain things happen and just certain plots and how his writing is, I still was very pleasantly surprised, and there was still quite a few shocks and twists and turns, and there was moments when I was just wondering what was going on and how is it all coming together and who is this, and there's just so many wonderful parts of this that he did such a great job at, like, just giving you a little bit to kind of reel you in and really make you want more. So I really did enjoy that about this book. In this book too, the introduction of the Hunters, which is the group that follows Artemis, which was the goddess of the hunt, and she's the goddess of like domestic animals, and she's got a bunch of wonderful powers. She is very much associated with virginity and females, and she is a maiden, and that is a lot of what her type of god powers kind of surround. And it was really interesting to see the dynamic of the hunters. I found them really intriguing, especially Zoe, which was one of our main hunters that we followed. I was really wondering what was going on with Zoe. There was so many little bits that I was wondering about the mystery that surrounded her and who she was and what kind of secrets she was holding on to. So I was very intrigued by Zoe and was making little notes of who is Zoe and kind of how is her story going to be tied up. And then I was really happy to see Artemis as well, because Artemis is, being the goddess that she is, with the powers that she had, as I mentioned, she's always been one that really intrigued me. And I always had a little special place in my heart for Artemis because her Roman counterpart is Diana, which is very close to Deanna. So I always just was like, ooh, who's Artemis? And I want to know more about Artemis. So I really loved seeing her in this book, and I really loved how she was portrayed, how very fiercely protective she was of her huntresses, of how much she was such a almost loving and compassionate type of character, is how she very much came across, instead of the very cold and cruel of gods that you can sometimes see. Sometimes they can be portrayed as very uncaring about anyone, and so it was really nice to see how caring Artemis was and how connected she was with her group of hunters. I really did love that. Plus, with Artemis, usually hand in hand, comes her twin brother Apollo. And when he came on to the scene in this book, I just absolutely loved him. I absolutely adored Apollo. I loved his humor. I loved just his laid backness. And I also loved how much he cares about Artemis. And that was very evident in some of the scenes. I indicate purple along here where there's funny parts. And so many of them had to do with Apollo. And this one I find was the funniest book so far. I've absolutely smiled or chuckled the most, and I don't know if that was just because of Apollo or maybe some of the other characters as well. There was a few other characters, but I just found that Rick's humor really came through very prominently for me in this book. Speaking of humor, I don't want to spoil too much, so I'm going to come up some of the page, but I literally put in a note. This is my humor where I think something's funny, and I put Doctor, but it's supposed to be Mr. Mr. D is growing on me. And that would be the god Dionysus. I apologize if I'm saying that wrong, but he's referred to as Mr. D, and he is the god of wine and madness, and he's also the director of Camp Half-Blood, and he is very dry humor and very just he has a personality that I absolutely love in books because he's very dry wit and he's very just almost teasing people and making fun of them in just kind of offhand ways. So I absolutely love him as a character, and as I said, he was very much growing on me, and I'd like to see more of him and see where his arc kind of goes and how he kind of continues to grow throughout the series and what his role will play in maybe any future books. We also do meet, as I said in my summary, we meet some new Half-Bloods, which are Nico and Bianca. They're very much the beginning of the book. We meet them, and then I'm very curious to see how it goes, or at least that's when I was reading this. I was very, very curious to see how they came about in the series and what their role was going to be, because there was a lot of mystery surrounding them. So that was very intriguing. And this book, this kept me so hooked. I loved it so much. It's so much fun with this one. I think it is one of my favorite reads of the series. I loved it a lot. I had a lot of fun reading it. I had a lot of fun kind of seeing where Percy was kind of trying to find his place among all these wonderful, powerful women, and he's trying to kind of figure out just what is going on, and just it was a really good read. I absolutely enjoyed it, and with it being about the middle book, sometimes the middle books in series can be a little hit and miss, and I find this one was absolutely wonderful, and I absolutely loved it, and it kept me wondering what's going on with the next ones, and let's keep going and get into the other books. So this one was another 5-star for me because the whole Percy Jackson series has just captured my heart, and I love Percy and all of his friends. So I really recommend checking out the series, and I'm going to continue. Spoiler alert, I've already read the Battle of Labyrinth, so I already know what happens in this book. Like, I already annotated the heck out of this one, and I'm already into the last book of this series, The Last Olympian, so I will have this review out soon, and then hopefully The Last Olympian I'll be finishing soon. And then my plan is to have a video maybe getting a bit more in-depth, maybe going through some of my annotations and just my thoughts on the whole series, but as a spoiler-free as I can, though of course there'll be spoilers probably from previous books, but as spoiler-free as I can for this book. I'm just going to rate it 5 stars and say I absolutely loved it. Love the characters. Love all the different ways that Rick brings in the different type of myths going on. And like sometimes you can almost see what's going on because you know some of the myths, but it's still absolutely delightful and it's still so fun. And it's always great to see what his take is on the myths and how Percy has to interact with them. So I absolutely love it. 5 stars. Definitely check it out. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give it a like. Thanks so much. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Thank you so much for being here. Take care of yourself, and you will see me next time. Bye!